All right, let's talk about a problem that I think drives every single one of us crazy: how to actually remember the things that we read. And this isn't just about cramming facts for a test. This is about building a real fortress of knowledge from the books you spend your precious time on. You know the feeling, right? You pour hours into a fascinating book. You close that last page feeling totally energized and inspired. And then a week goes by, and if someone asks you what it was about, it's just a vague blur. This information amnesia is super common, but here's the good news. It's not a life sentence. We can absolutely fix it. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to pinpoint the forgetting problem itself. Then, we'll reframe how you think about reading. It's a skill you can level up. After that, we'll dive into a practical, step-by-step system for retention, peek under the hood at the actual brain science, and finally, lay out the path from just reading to true mastery. Okay, let's get right to the heart of the matter. Why do we forget so much? Well, it's because most of us treat reading like we treat watching TV. We just let the words wash over us. That's passive consumption. And if you want to remember anything, you have to switch gears and become an active, engaged participant in a conversation. And that brings us to this huge distinction. Passive reading, that's just your eyes scanning the page. The words go in, but they just don't stick around. Active reading, on the other hand, is a whole different ballgame. It's a dialogue. You're engaging with the author. You're questioning their points. You're connecting their ideas to your own life. That is where deep understanding and real, lasting memory is born. So here's a massive mindset shift for you. Reading isn't just one thing. It's not a single activity. It's actually a hierarchy of skills. And just like playing the guitar or learning to code, it's a skill that you can get better at. It's time to level up. The philosopher Mortimer Adler actually laid out these 4 levels. Now, most of us live at level 1 or 2. Reading a novel for fun or skimming an article for basic facts. And that's totally fine. But the real magic happens when you climb up to analytical reading, where you're really dissecting a book, and all the way up to syntotopical reading, where you use multiple books to become a true expert on a subject. All right, let's get into the nuts and bolts. How do we actually climb that ladder? The key isn't to just try harder. The key is to have a system. A clear set of actions you take before, during, and after you read to lock that knowledge into your brain. So before you even read word 1 of chapter 1, you need to do what's called systematic skimming. Now, this has nothing to do with speed reading. Think of it like looking at a map before you go on a road trip. You read the title, the blurb on the back. You study the table of contents. You're building a mental scaffold, a structure in your mind. That way, when you start reading for real, every piece of new information has a place to go. I just love this quote from Francis Bacon. It perfectly sums up this whole idea. That skimming we just talked about, that's tasting the book. But for the books that are really worth it, the ones packed with wisdom, it's time to chew and digest. And that's the core of active analytical reading. So what are you doing while you read? You're making that book your own. Seriously, grab a pen, underline the big points, circle keywords, put stars next to things that blow your mind. And most importantly, talk back to the author in the margins, ask questions, argue a little, and here's a real power move. After each paragraph, try to summarize its main point in a single sentence. This forces your brain to grapple with the meaning, not just the words. Now, this next technique, this might be the single most powerful strategy in this entire explainer. After you finish a chapter, close the book, put it away. Grab a totally blank sheet of paper and just write down everything you remember. The main ideas, the supporting arguments, everything. This simple act of forced recall is what burns the information into your memory. Then, after you've squeezed your brain dry, open the book back up and see what you missed. It is unbelievably effective. Here's another incredible tool that's been around since ancient Greece. It's called the memory palace. Turns out, our brains are amazing at remembering physical spaces. It's just hardwired into us. This technique hijacks that natural superpower to help us store and organize abstract ideas from books. Here's how it works. You pick a place you know, like the back of your hand, your apartment, your childhood home, whatever. Then you take the key concepts from a chapter and you mentally place them in different spots along a route. So the main thesis is at the front door. The first major point is on the kitchen table. The second is on your sofa. To recall all the info, you just take a mental walk through your house. It sounds a little weird, I know, but it works like crazy. So, why do all these weird techniques, writing in margins, the blank sheet, the memory palace, why do they work so well? To understand that, we need to take a quick peek at the actual science of how your brain makes a memory stick. See, a memory isn't just some abstract cloud of thought. It's a real physical thing in your brain called an engram. Think of it like a path being worn into a forest. It's a network of brain cells that have physically changed. All those active reading techniques we're talking about, they're basically exercises for building and strengthening these physical memory traces. This diagram shows you how it happens. When you first learn something, a bunch of neurons get activated, but that's temporary. For that memory to last, the connections between those neurons have to be stabilized and made permanent. That process is called consolidation. And the main engine that drives consolidation, you guessed it, active recall. That blank sheet method is literally the workout that builds strong memories. There's a famous saying in neuroscience that just perfectly captures this. Neurons that fire together, wire together. It's that simple. When you struggle with an idea and force yourself to recall it, you're making a specific set of neurons fire in sync. The more often you do that, the stronger and faster that connection becomes. You are literally rewiring your brain. And the brain is incredibly smart about this. It uses a principle called sparse coding. Instead of lighting up half your brain for every little memory, which would be a chaotic, inefficient mess, it activates a very small, distinct, and efficient set of neurons. This saves a ton of energy, and it's what keeps all your different memories from blurring into one another. Okay, let's bring this all home, because this system isn't just about remembering a few more facts from the last book you read. The ultimate goal here is so much bigger. It's about achieving true mastery. This brings us to the very top of the reading ladder, syntopical reading. This is the level where you graduate from being a consumer of information to a creator of knowledge. You're not just reading one book on a topic anymore. You're reading 5 or 10, and you're weaving their ideas together to build your own unique perspective, an analysis that you couldn't find in any single one of those books. Ultimately, this is about building what you might call real wisdom. It's about creating a rich latticework of mental models in your head. When you have that solid foundation, every new book you read doesn't just add one more isolated fact. Instead, it connects to and strengthens the entire web of knowledge you've already built. So there you have it, a clear path, a set of powerful tools to take you from the frustration of forgetting to the confidence of true, lasting knowledge. The system is yours now. The only question left is, what subject will you choose to master?